Use a graphing calculator to graph the first 10 terms of the sequence. Does the sequence converge or diverge? If it converges, what is that number? So going back over the term of converge or converges, if the terms of an infinite sequence get closer to some real number, the sequence is said to be convergent and to converge to that real number. So we're looking for it. We're going to look at the graph as well and look at the table and determine if, just by the graph, first of all, if it converges. Now, if it diverges, then it says here it's a sequence that does not converge to some number. So we'll determine if the equation that we're using here, this sequence a sub n is equal to n plus 6 over 2n, if it converges or diverges. But we're going to use a table because to do this by hand is going to require some work. So we have the graphing calculator, and let's go to our y equals screen, and then we're going to enter n plus 6 over 2n, but we're going to be using the variable x. And I'm going to place parentheses around the numerator and denominator so that we're not taking the 2n and just dividing it to the 6. We want the 2n to divide into the n plus 6. So I'm going to place parentheses around the numerator and denominator. So we have open parenthesis, x plus 6, close it, divided by, then we have open parenthesis 2x. I'm going to close it, and let's look at the table. So we're going to go second and graph, and above graph we have table, and we have our XY table. So let's go ahead and write that out. So pause for a second and go ahead and write out the first 10. Here's our table. We're going to write out the first 10 terms. So you can go ahead and list for X 1 through 10. And then we'll plug in for Y. So pause, and then we'll give yourself a few seconds, write all of the Y terms, and then we'll proceed. All right, so we have the first 10 terms, and then I want us to, before we determine if this converges or diverges, I want us to look at the graph. Okay, so if you want to, you can go and use the graph feature on your graphing calculator, but I'm going to use another program so we can get a better outlook. So I'm using this website called Desmos, and I'm going to enter that information, the sequence, the n plus 6 over 2n. We have divided by. All right, so it says look at the first 10, meaning positive 1 through 10. So we're looking at the first quadrant. Okay. And we would say, just by looking at this graph, I'm going to zoom, that this orange line, that it is converging, because if it diverges, it's not going to be something that's continuous, and it's just going to, the points are not going to be in any kind of order. So we just need to determine, well, where does it converge to? Okay, so just wanted to at least show you what the graph looks like. Okay, and then going back to our graphing calculator, since we know that it's going to converge, it converges. Okay, but what does it converge to? Okay, and that's what we need to find. So we can, if we want to, we can keep going, and if we wanted to determine where does it converge to. Now we can use this our graphing calculator, and we can go into our table set, and we can move to, let's go back here. I'm going to put in 500. I'm going to just be extreme here. And then I want to look at my table. And what you're going to notice at 500, if we round to two decimal places, is 0.50. Um, so if we want to, let's say, I press the plus sign. Let's go to, I'm going to say 2000. If you notice at 2500, 6500, 10,500, where do you notice that it's converging to? It's converging to 0.50. So the number 0.50. So in your graphing calculator, you're definitely going to have to, what you can do is go to second in window, and above window is table set, and you can start at a higher number. And then let's just say that I'm going to enter 1500, and I'm going to go to my second in table, and then it says press plus sign for more values of that table. But see, if you notice that it's not giving us increments of 15, increments of 1. Let me say that. Sorry about this. It's not giving us increments of 1, so it's giving us increments of 1500. So we can do 2000, we can do 1 million if we want to, if we can do 20,000. So I'm going to press the plus sign and put in 20,000. And still look at the y. Where is this graph? What is it converging to? It's converging to 0.50.